Welcome to Action Park, the world's wildest amusement park, the deadliest. Guests regularly get launched off rides, their teeth, or even their fingers. They break their noses, get electrocuted, and wade in. There's more beer for sale than there is ice cream. Guests regularly dare each other to attempt things often they come close to drowning. On a normal day, the pool's lifeguards have to rescue up to 30, hundreds or more are seriously injured. Emergency services see up to 10 park-related hospital get so overwhelmed that the park has to buy them extra ambulances. The park's unwritten fun. Safety protocols are basically non-existent. The staff is mostly in their teens. And people love it. The park has over 10,000 visitors per day. Around the park's 18-year run, 6 people never made it home alive. Action Park, most poorly designed amusement park rides the world has ever seen. Behind it all was a con artist who flouted rules, laws, and the most basic safety measures. How did so many visitors end up injured or dead? And if there were so many scandals in nearly 2 decades?
Hey, this is Jonas. You might recognize my voice. I'm the guy you heard in the intro just now is Don. He's one of our most prolific writers and native speaker, and blessed with a much smoother voice some of our content to let me focus more on editorial work. You'll still hear me and Hook, of course. We're just mixing it at first, but please give Don a shot. He's really good. And with that, back to you, Don.
Thanks. Research is based on the book Action Park by Andy Mulvihill and the HBO documentary Class Action in the description. This is Eugene Mulvihill, known as Action Park. In the early 70s, Gene grabs Wall Street by the horns and gets rid of everyone on the stock exchange and is acquainted with the likes of Donald Trump. Rumor has it he knows people on Wall Street. Gene starts a securities company and hires his old friend, the financier Robert III. The Securities and Exchange Commission shuts down their company for stock manipulation and securities fraud, ruined, and they need a new venture. Gene pours money into a struggling ski resort in a location less than 60 miles from New York City. He sees its potential to grow into a tourist hotspot, casinos and malls, the Las Vegas of the East Coast. At the heart of it all, an amusement park. Gene begins transforming the ski resort. Never mind his lack of experience and he makes up for it in audacity and vision. And his buddy and former business partner Rob. Soon, Action Park is ready to launch. Here's an overview of it. Has 3 main parts: Alpine Land, Water Park, and Motor World. For the rides is a rite of passage. That includes the park's most notorious ones. And according to former employees at Action Park, many of these rides weren't even designed by actual engineers. Some were designed by unqualified amateurs. But that doesn't worry guests like 15-year-old Derek here. Some of Action Park's key attractions, in order of escalating risk. Right now, waiting in line for Battle Action Tanks. On paper, Battle Action Tanks is basically bumper, more like Wimbledon meets one of the hairier battles of the Vietnam War. Riders climb into camel by chicken wire cages. Each is powered by a motor, controlled with a joystick, and decked out with a goal is to fire tennis balls at other tanks. Around the arena, spectators man cannons of their own, blasts into a tailspin. This is Derek's first ride, just a warm-up. The fast 160 kilometers per hour, and employees have to run onto the battlefield to collect stuff, taking this opportunity to target them. If anyone scores a direct hit to an employee's groin, the crowd loves watching this gladiatorial combat. He's often found soaking up the battle vibes from the sidelines as chronically late employees as a punishment. According to Class Action Park, many nationals, they're teenagers, some as young as 14. That's on brand for Action Park's identity. Plus, teenagers are cheap labor. They don't ask questions and are often happy to test. Some even affectionately call him Uncle Gene. In the 80s, amusement park regulated industry, and Uncle Gene loves to exploit a good loophole. For instance, but sporting attractions, so he doesn't need official permits. And for a while, all they want to know is that the rides are insured and, quote, currently not on nearly all responsibility onto its visitors. For instance, when it comes to this is the Super Go-Kart, it's gas-powered and designed for racing, but more commonly used in total. They may look small, but watch your neck. They accelerate like a spooked horse. They're supposed to max out at 32 kilometers an hour, but sometimes the staff likes to override the carts to reach more than 80 kilometers an hour. The really daring ones take a special souped-up model, these mini racers for after-work spins on the nearby state highway. Derek jumps in, zipping around, until he sees a lady losing control. She hurdles off track and smashes through a fence, and then she collides with a tree. Finally, one of the employees. Derek needs a break and stumbles into the big white festival tent right now 15, but he has no trouble whatsoever getting his hands on a beer. Maybe it helps him muster up the courage. This is the Speedboat Lagoon. Visitors hop inside speedboats with a very powerful engine. They're designed for open water, but crammed into a small, man-made lagoon. If only. Everyone knows it's full of snakes, gas from leaky boat. Derek quickly realizes no one's here to pilot the boats. They're here to crash them. Another boat smashes into the side of his. It knocks the wind out of him, and he topples out of the boat. The water is greasy. Is that motor oil? Out. As he does, something slithers across his thigh. He chooses to not. Somehow, Action Park rides make it through mandatory state inspections, since amusement park regulations know what they're looking for. State law requires that Gene take out liability insurance. But Gene doesn't believe in insurance. Too expensive, too much bureaucracy. He'd need to work for at least $2 million a year, with premiums rising every time something goes wrong. London and World Insurance, headquartered in the Cayman Islands. That allows him to bring premiums to himself, and using the company to launder money. But when it came to chaos and ruthless money-making, he definitely had room for improvement when it came to taste. Good with Displate. Displates are high-quality metal posters. They're bold, durable, and stick to your wall, snap the art on, and that's it. Check out their best-selling texture series with raised textures and 3Ds come alive. You can choose from over 2 million designs from popular categories like nature or like Star Wars and Cyberpunk 2077. Already looking for Christmas gift inspo? Check out this new feature, Custom Displate. Just upload your own image, like we did with the Fern logo. Actually, that looks pretty decent. Right sale. You get 37% off 1 to 2 displates, 43% off 3 to 4, and just use the code FERN or find the discount link in the description. But back to Gene's visionary idea was the Bailey ball. He doesn't have a permit for it. Day. The ball consists of 2 plastic spheres, one nested inside the other. The outer, the inner one, is mounted on ball bearings, so it can spin independently of the outer shell. Attached to the seat is a race car style harness. The Bailey ball wasn't designed by who long dreamed of breaking into the theme park business. Gene loves it. The Bailey zigzagging track, 182 meters of glued PVC pipes. This is a regular employee that Gene convinced to do the job by slipping him $100. The idea, sitting upright and come to a gentle stop at the bottom of the mountain. Here's the state safety inspector. As long as it doesn't scream instant death, the Bailey ball will be cleared for use by the public. French. For the first few meters, it's all going according to plan. Frank's rolling smoothly, and he's still fitted for the laws of thermodynamics. The problem with PVC in the hot sun is that it expends the plastic track that was supposed to give the ball direction has bulged and warped. Frank doesn't even make it, pulls off the track and starts rolling down the hill, rapidly gaining speed. The safety inspector can only watch. The ball hurtles down the hill and flies off park grounds. It's now headed for the road. Somehow, the ball avoids any collisions, and eventually, it crashes into a pond. And sputtering, with blood on his shirt, but alive. The inspector does not grant Gene a proof. Other rides do end up going live. By the mid-70s, Action Park boasts about 50 attractions. People visit the park every year. It's a genuine boost for the local economy. At the time, even park. But apparently the concept is too crazy, even for him. The park's ad, luring in city kids eager to blow off some steam. Some do it by flying. Imagine you're holding 6 meters of rope. The pool beneath you is 4.5 sand swing, may look like a simple rope swing, but later on, it'll be one of the first rides the state shuts. Swing is a rite of passage. Mess this up with a belly flop, and you'll never live it down. He grabs the rope, swings far out over the pool, and lets go. The second he hits, he's just plunged from 35 degrees Celsius air into bone-chilling 10 degrees Celsius. It is so cold, he forgets how to swim. He flails, stunned. A smirk wristband on him. Scrawls across it are the letters CFS, shorthand for can't. He'll learn that the cold water was such a shock to one swimmer's system that he went into cardiac arrest and died. Cases like this should be covered by Gene's liability insurance, but the company allegedly backing Action Park doesn't really exist. In 1984, the authorities kept guilty to fraud and is slapped with $300,000 in fines and 3 years probation. According to Class Action Park, Gene doesn't have the slightest intention of renting part of the property from the state of New Jersey. To provoke officials, he reportedly stops paying his bills. After some back and forth, New Jersey agrees to sell him the land for a steal. Allegedly, Gene wins and goes on to further expand his park. Ludicrous ride in Action Park. Gene himself designed it, on a cocktail napkin. Not enjoyed. It's called the Cannonball Loop. The idea is simple. A water slide, 360-degree loop at the end. But the park keeps having to tweak the design, since the crash is to emerge headless. Derek watches the guy in front of him enter first. Into the pool. Head first, but alive. That's good enough for Derek. The lifeguard's the enemy here. Momentum is everything. This isn't just about fun. He can't afford to make it through the loop. Derek's heard the horror stories. Guests who dropped straight down into the fiberglass, finally emerging into the landing area bloodied and toothless. And covered in cuts and bruises caused by other people's teeth still embedded in the slide. Derek's back down now. Not after the Tarzan swing incident. He shoots into darkness. And then he hits the loop. He crawls out dazed, bleeding from the elbow, alive. The authorities only require Gene to report serious injuries, but according to him to decide what serious means. No one knows how many people have actually been hurt. When victims or their families sue the park, Gene almost always refuses to settle. Instead, trials are often expensive, tedious, and emotionally exhausting. Many families aren't willing. Reportedly wins the vast majority of these cases. On the rare occasions he loses, he stalls on sometimes until law enforcement orders him to. U.S. Marshals allegedly come knocking on his door at. This is the Alpine Slide. It's an 820-meter long mountain, which riders descend on small plastic sleds equipped with a handbrake. At first glance, it's marketed as safe for grandparents and infants, but in reality, the Alpine Slide works than any other ride in the park. The sleds have 2 speeds. Painfully slow, death awaits. Riders switch between these 2 states with a simple handbrake. If that brake happens, of course, makes for a rough landing, especially for guests wearing only swimsuits. Derek rides the ski lifters overhead or spitting on riders and throwing sleds, trying to hit any unlucky riders below. Plastic sled. There are no helmets, of course, just pictures of nasty scrapes to warn you not to go like riding a skateboard down a long, steep mountain. Halfway down, he realizes he's coming up on a mast. He's zooming along at nearly 50 kilometers an hour. He brakes hard on a sharp turn. He flies through the air and lands hard. He's mostly fine, just road rash. Not everyone will be so lucky. In 1980, the Alpine slide claims 17-year-old George Larson is hurled off his sled and slams his head against a rock. Allegedly, but Gene and his team ignored it. That sounds straightforward. The park is to blame for Larson. Argues it wasn't the slide that killed Larson, it was the rock. So technically, the ride itself is assembly. The press has fed a version claiming George rode the slide at night in the rain, but the accident hours and in good weather. The case never goes to court. Action Park quietly settles with the family. The Alpine slide stays open. Might not be what you'd expect, and that might have been what made it so dangerous. Not the souped-up go-kart or slide. No, the attraction that killed the most people was the wave pool, also known as, may look harmless, inviting even. But this is no kiddie pool. It's a massive pool that can hold about 30 meters wide and 76 meters long. Giant pressure chambers generate artificial waves. They also produce a strong riptide. The deep end reaches 2.4 meters. The water sparkles. Music plays. The pool almost looks relaxing. He wades in under by the current. He surfaces, gasping, to find hundreds of people thrashing around near him. Ocean. So a lot of people expect salt water, but they're wrong. The pool is filled with fresh air to sink in, and half of the people in it are drunk. A guy near Derek is flailing around. Guard dive in for a save. Then another. Behind him, someone is pulled out on a stretcher. The pool is deceptive, even for strong swimmers. The waves come on unexpectedly, and 12 Red Cross trained lifeguards are stationed at the pool at all times. But because the pool is so dense, it isn't always easy to tell when someone is drowning. Throughout the 80s, 3 people drown in the way and 2 young men aged 18 and 20. In the end, 6 people die at Action, 1 on the Alpine slide and 1 on the Tarzan swing. The 6th victim was an unlucky kayaker, dive underwater wire, and was fatally electrocuted. With that many injuries and deaths, so why did it stay open for so long? Over the years, families repeatedly put pressure on Action Park, but Gene somehow always managed to dodge any form of responsibility. Rumor had it, friends in high places were looking out for him. Gene had close ties with local business leaders and a major employer in the area. And Rob, Gene's generous money man, was always just a phone call away. Gene fought back, sometimes with sketchy methods. One journalist alleges that, when Gene was facing her boss and ultimately getting her fired, and when a man Gene owed money wanted to claim it, Gene hit man to kill him and his family. Gene went on like this for years, dodging his responsibility. He embodied the Reaganomics spirit of the 80s, minimal government intervention, and a belief that But that changed in the 90s. The lawsuits kept piling up, earning the park its mark. Attendance started dropping. By 1996, mounting legal battles, medical finally caught up with Gene. Action Park shut down. Millions of dollars in debt. Lost more money on the park than he ever made. Since then, the park has repeatedly changed hands and just a water park, with some of the old attractions still in place. But Action Park itself is history. 2012, obituaries hail him as a visionary entrepreneur, a politician from New Jersey, name Gene. Like the true genius he always was.